public dialogue and art exhibition that's hosted by the World Animal Protection, taking place today at the Kenya National Theatre. Now, Raising Pigs' Right art exhibition is informed by a report titled Exposing the Facts of Factory Farming that discourages factory farming, which involves the confinement of pigs in small cages that limits their freedom and subjects them to various problems. Talked a little bit about this. Let's now bring in the CEO of World Animal Protection, that is Steve McElvore, to talk a little bit about today's art exhibition and public dialogue. Mr. McElvore, first things first, good morning to you. Good morning, Mr. McElvore. I trust you can hear me. Good. Okay, we seem to have a challenge. Let me talk a little bit about what they will be talking about there. Some of the problems that pigs face in these small cages that limits their freedom is pain, cruelty, hunger, discomfort, loneliness, and getting trapped. But what is on the other side? What does a good pig production system entail? From an animal welfare perspective, a rich environmental welfare or environment for pigs should include maximum amount of space, proper lighting and ventilated housing, dry bedding. Piggeries should be cleaned daily, while provision of forage to allow wallowing as well. So it's all about pig rights today, and that's why there's a public dialogue and art exhibition taking place at the Kenya National Theatre. Let's try that once again. Let's bring in Steve McElvore, the CEO of World Animal Protection, to talk a little bit about pigs' rights in Kenya. Mr. McElvore, I trust you can hear me now. That's right. Thank you so much for joining us today on Citizen Extra. First things first, tell us a little bit about what this campaign you're doing today is all about. All right. Well, we seem to have a challenge communicating with him, but we will come back later on. But just in summary, we'll be taking you live there, where a public dialogue and an art exhibition will be taking place. Let me tell you a little bit about the art exhibition. It's a collaborative effort with 6 pencil artists who are using their craft to depict pigs in a good welfare system. What would pigs look like if they were treated in the appropriate manner? So each artist will produce 4 pieces of art, which will be displayed every day. That's from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. within the dates outlined at the main art gallery. The best 3 pieces will be awarded today during that public dialogue on raising pigs' rights. And of course, all this is informed by a report, a Pigs Milestones report that is titled Exposing the Facts of Factory Farming that discourages factory farming. And factory farming is where pigs are confined in small cages, limiting their freedom and subjecting them to various problems. And I mentioned those problems earlier: pain, cruelty, hunger, discomfort, loneliness, and of course that feeling of being trapped as well. That live event at the Kenya National Theatre. And I'll be taking you there shortly. I know that we now have the CEO on the line. Mr. McElvore, good morning once again. Tell us a little bit about the campaign that is happening today, or the program today at the Kenya National Theatre.
Yes, good morning. Yeah, we're holding an event here in the National Theatre in Nairobi as part of a series of events happening around the world to mark the campaign trying to raise pigs' rights, to improve the welfare of pigs. And here in Nairobi, we're celebrating by bringing together many of the young artists who took part in an event to produce a range of fantastic pieces of artwork that really show both the terrible conditions in which many pigs suffer in industrial barren units, but also how pigs can be reared naturally in harmony.
Understand, Mr. McElvore, in your view, what does a good pig production system look like? You've talked about the challenges of how pigs are raised at the moment, but what does an ideal pig production system look like?
Well, you know, a good pig production system really means that you're meeting the basic needs of those animals, and they're fairly simple needs that anyone can relate to: the ability to move around freely, to be able to turn around, the ability to root, the ability to live without pain and suffering, and without suffering from excessive heat or poor treatment. So we really want to see basic improvements made for the welfare of pigs through improving those systems. And of course, ideally, that means pigs living in outdoor systems rather than indoors. But indoor systems can meet many of their needs if they're well put together.
All right. Some of our viewers or our viewers may not have gotten a chance to read the Pigs Milestone report titled Exposing the Facts of Factory Farming. In a nutshell, what did that report reveal?
Well, it revealed that pigs increasingly are suffering in these huge industrial systems. And one of the challenges for Africa is that more and more pigs are being produced here, and they're going into systems in which their lives are confined to concrete cell blocks, industrial warehouse units. And the mother pigs will be kept in crates where they're literally the size of a domestic fridge. And they're incapable of turning around, they can't really nurture their young, and they can't move around in groups. Pigs also have their teeth clipped and their tails mutilated. It's a pretty appalling situation, and one of our fears that's coming to pass is that industrial systems like this are increasingly being introduced into countries like Kenya and across Africa. And part of this campaign, this event today, is to try to alert people, consumers, academics, industry, government, all of whom are here today taking part in an expert panel, and to mobilize young people who represent the future of this country, every country, to take a different path, one that is more humane and more civilized.
Mr. McElvore, in terms of success, are there countries in Africa that are handling the pig production process the right way, and what can we learn from other countries even beyond Africa's borders?
Yeah, I think at the moment Africa has some producers, including in countries like Kenya, and in fact I'll be meeting some of them later this week, who are operating good systems. In other parts of the world, we've had some fantastic announcements from companies like Better Grow and CP in Thailand. We've had companies in China and in the United States and Brazil, all starting to move away now from industrializing the production of pigs, putting pigs in systems that treat them as if they are machines, if you like. They're unfeeling productions of food production, and actually treating them as individuals. So we have companies that are showing the future. It can be done economically, it can be done humanely, and I think that that's the path that we want producers in Africa to follow.
Okay, Mr. McElvore, just one quick one. Human beings are a peculiar lot. We only pay attention to an issue when it directly affects us. Let me give you an example. Environmental conservation has been a big talking point in Kenya, but Kenyans only really wake up to talk about it when there's famine, when there's flooding, you know, sort of these extremes. What would you tell the average Kenyan right now, watching this broadcast, about why they need to pay attention to this particular cause, why they need to champion for pigs to be raised the right way?
Well, I think if we want to have healthy food, if we want good quality food, and if we want to make sure that we avoid some of the real problems that face industrial producers around the world, with poor conditions for people working in those farms, with terrible environmental consequences from industrial pig units, and with appalling treatment of animals, then this is the moment in time when Africa and Africa's consumers can take a different path. The industrial treatment of animals in very poor units of production, you know, is something that has a very direct impact on all of our lives, on our environment, on our jobs, on our health, and of course on the quality of food, not just animal welfare. So I think that's a compelling series of reasons why we need to raise pigs right.
Okay. I know I said last question, but as a journalist, you keep saying last question. This is one of the last ones I trust. One of our viewers is asking, why pigs? What about other animals which might be going through the same issues that pigs are going through in terms of the production system that they go through? Why pigs?
Well, we're particularly concentrating on pigs right now. I mean, they are the second largest number of animals anywhere in the world that are being reared for food production are pigs. But as an organisation, we're also concentrating on chickens, on dairy cows and many other farm animals. And actually, World Animal Protection works with offices in 15 countries around the world and in up to 50 countries around the world, dealing with issues including rabies in dogs, actually intervening through our disaster management teams and our vets in disaster zones when flooding, as we're seeing today, and other disasters impact people's lives and animals' lives. So it's not just about pigs, but right now this is a time when we're drawing the world's attention to the plight of pigs.
All right. Now, the public dialogue and art exhibition, or actually the program there, just about to start. Briefly tell us what Kenyans can expect from that particular program at the Kenya National Theatre.
Yeah, well, this morning we've got here gathered together many of the young artists who were involved in producing pieces of work that represent the way in which pigs could live in a natural setting, but also the way that they live in stark and pretty dystopian situations in industrial cage systems. And we're going to be celebrating them and thanking them for the contribution that they've made. And actually, we've already shared much of their artwork with colleagues all around the world. But we'll also have a panel of experts here, technical panel, talking about the situation for pigs in Africa and the way forward. And those include experts from academia, from government, politics, and from business. So we're very much looking forward to that dialogue.
Thank you so much. That is Steve McElvore, the CEO of World Animal Protection. The Raise Pigs Right public dialogue and art exhibition happening at the Kenya National Theatre this morning, an event we're bringing to you live. Thank you so much, CEO, for that update. And of course, we'll be taking that event live shortly. But just to give you an update, of course, what's happening in terms of the art exhibition, it's a collaborative effort with 6 pencil artists who are using their craft to depict pigs in a good welfare system. Each artist will produce 4 pieces of art, which will be displayed every day. And of course, the best 3 pieces will be awarded today during that public dialogue on raising pigs right. Shortly, I'll be handing over or taking you to that event live at the Kenya National Theatre in Nairobi County. And of course, this exhibition is informed by the Pigs Milestone report. The name of the report is Exposing the Facts of Factory Farming. And the aim is to discourage factory farming, and of course factory farming defined as the confinement of pigs in small cages, limiting their freedom and subjecting them to problems such as pain, cruelty, hunger, discomfort, loneliness, and of course that feeling of being trapped. And they're championing for a good pig production system, which entails, from an animal welfare point of view, a rich environmental welfare for pigs, a maximum amount of space, proper lighting and ventilated housing, dry bedding. Piggeries should be cleaned daily, and provision of forage to allow pigs to be able to wallow. Let's now shortly hand over to the start of that function. But here are some stats about pigs, just for your general knowledge. Newborn piglets learn to run at the sound of their mother's voice and can recognize their own names at 2 weeks. And you can, in China, of course, pigs constantly communicate to each other, and that has been a fact that scientists have determined. They're also incredibly intelligent animals, contrary to what some may think. So that's obviously expected to be a very interesting forum at the Kenya National Theatre, and shortly I'll be taking you to that event. All right, we take a short break now. Citizen Extra returns.